What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe. Welcome back to an all-new episode of the K-Drama Club, where we watch K-dramas on Netflix and discuss the episodes here with you on our channel. This is not the only thing we do on our channel, however. If you're into K-pop, in addition to K-dramas, we do lots of K-pop reactions, including like Blackpink, Secret Numbers, 17, all different groups. So you should subscribe if you're into that as well. And if you're watching along with us, we're watching Crash Landing on You, and in this episode, we're going to talk about episodes 5 through 8. So we are at the midpoint of the show. If you haven't checked in with our first chapter where we talked about episodes 1 through 4, click up at the top there, go back, watch that, and then come back here when you're ready. We ended off with one of the most romantic gestures I've ever seen in any TV show ever.
In my life.
The candle, holding it up at the market. She's feeling lost. She can't find anybody.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Her knight in shining armor comes through, holding the candle above his head.
And this time,
it's
a scented candle.
Of course, it's a scented candle, because previously he did not get her a scented candle.
Yeah, I got her regular candles.
So that's how we ended off.
Yeah.
But here we are, episode 5 now, and things are starting to heat up.
Yeah, I think these 4 episodes felt like a much more content than the first 4 episodes. Like, it feels like a lot more things happened. And I think obviously the first few episodes are like setting the stage for the show. And now we're like really getting into it, like getting deep into it.
I've noticed that now. This is my 3rd K-drama that I'm watching, is that at the beginning, there's a fair amount of setup that gets you hooked on the characters, but doesn't quite propel things forward as much. But I'm fully invested now in these characters.
Yeah.
A lot more action in this set of episodes for sure. And I was saying when we, like somewhere between episodes 5 and 6, I was like, you know, there hasn't been like a crazy action scene, because in the opener, the very first episode, we got that crazy like action scene where they're in the field and they're throwing guns around and stuff. But we saw a lot of action in this group of episodes.
Like 6, 7, 8. I feel like it's just like packed with just like fighting scenes and like...
The heat got turned up.
Yeah, for sure. With, I think obviously the most important part of the show is the love story.
Yes.
And I really like the love story in this show.
I agree.
Because it's very like, it's not like overdone. Like there's a fair amount of tension there.
Yeah.
Where like they both know what's going on, but they just are so afraid to like do anything about it or commit to it, because they know it's not a realistic thing. It's like a temporary thing. But they both need each other in a certain way. But they're just afraid to like fully latch onto that and fully like talk about it or anything, because they don't want to make it any harder.
Exactly.
When eventually it has to come to an end.
And you know, they're in very extreme circumstances, but I still think it's a relatable concept of like wanting to, like being in love with somebody but not wanting to fully like commit to it, because you just think it won't work out, or for one reason or another the universe is pulling you to in opposite directions. It's a relatable topic, even though the circumstances of the show are very extreme.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a feeling that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
But our situations that you personally have been in are not as futile as this situation.
Yeah, not quite as politically involved
either.
Exactly.
It's not quite as impossible as their situation is. Like the love story is progressing, but it progresses through like actions, not through like words so much. Like they don't like openly confess their love to each other all that often until the very, very end.
Yeah, until the end.
But they just like, it's just one of those things where they do things to show each other that they care when they're not necessarily saying directly.
And sometimes they're even saying the opposite.
Exactly.
Captain Ree is like the most obvious example of that, because he's like denying it the whole time. He's a very serious character, very quiet, very humble, slightly stoic, some would say.
Yeah.
But he is constantly like trying to not deny the love, but just kind of like hide it and not like give into it. He's fully driven like for the mission, like we're gonna get you out of here, and then that's it. But one of the funniest points where he kind of like breaks from that is where they meet up with our friend the con man, who like his role in this story is becoming more and more clear through this set of episodes. But they run into him in Pyongyang,
Pyongyang?
They run into him in Pyongyang and in the hotel, and she's talking about like, oh, it's such a coincidence that we run into each other here of all places. And he just like escalates to this point, well, oh, that's a coincidence, that's fate, that's destiny. You literally landed in my arms from the south, like, and then ended up in front of my house when trying to escape. So that was like probably the funniest moment of him like breaking that like very like serious, like not in love kind of character that he's trying to portray.
And you get that same feeling in the scene where he's in the hospital and she had left and all of, like the soldiers are there and they're kind of like teasing, like poking fun at like, oh, well, she's with this guy that used to be engaged. And he's like, that's not her boyfriend.
They're not together.
Yeah, this guy's freaking out.
Yeah, they're practically strangers to each other. And then he's like, why are you yelling?
Yeah.
But the soldier, the dynamic with the team of soldiers is like one of the best parts of the show, for
it's
sure.
really, really good.
And the whole Chul-san, I know his name from Startup. I don't know his name in this show for some reason. But his character is so funny, and he's so proud every time he gets to translate something from like a South Korean concept or like a more Western concept to the characters.
Yeah, it's especially I think it's his character, and then like the next like guy who drinks. I don't know their names either. It's so hard to remember. But
the guy who's basically mean to
the guy who's mean to Sari. Like those two are like their characters are so funny, and they just like play so well into the situation that it's really good. Yeah.
And they're all like banded together, it seemed like a little family. And like, you know, the guy who's like being a jerk most of the time, we know that he's like not really.
He's got a soft side.
Yeah. And every time she like is going to leave, which we're going to get into like the big action moments of like when she actually tries to leave. Every time they have those parting moments, it's very sweet. And he ends up writing her a poem and it's like, you know, everybody knows, no matter what that dude says, that he really cares about her and that they all really care about her and they're all really looking out for her well-being. That said, she has tried to get out of North Korea a couple times across the 4 episodes that we've watched, and none have gone too well.
Yeah, has not gone well at all.
The first attempt, of course, a great plan, right? We'll get you on the Olympic team, and you'll just get out of there. You'll be reserved. As soon as you're in Europe, you can just, boom, you're out of there.
Yeah, go to South Korea. Go back to home.
Yeah, but of course not, because this whole conspiracy with the trucks and our evil general friend, or not friend, is just making things complicated. Yeah. And it was quite dramatic. And here's the part where I was like, oh, there hasn't been an action scene in a while. We have like one of the biggest set piece moments of the show so far.
Yeah, where like they're having the shootout and he's on the motorcycle and like all that.
I've said this a couple times during the section, but he is like Batman. He's like a secret agent, like beating people up, doing crazy moves with different guns. I didn't really understand, like, he got the Uzi, he got the grenade launcher, he got the assault rifle, like, he was ready for war. He's on a motorcycle, he's an action star. Yeah. But I think this show, I know I made fun of the CGI, like, a little bit. Yeah. But the action moments, I think they're very well done. Yeah. And they add something, like, a little bit extra. I haven't seen that in a K-drama yet, where they have, like, actual, like, serious, I guess violent like action scenes, but like with there's exchange of gunfire and stuff. That's cool. That's a cool layer.
Because in South Korea, guns are extremely rare.
Oh,
so it's like not a cultural thing. Whereas like in America, it's a very cultural thing to have like guns and like the TV shows.
All media.
Movies. Yeah, all media. It's like a very, very cultural thing to have. So that makes sense. Where this is like an opportunity for them to like do more of those kind of action scenes in like that setting in North Korea.
Oh, because it's more militarized.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest things that happened in these episodes is the emergence of like the con man guy as like a major character in the show. Yeah, how does he fit in? Because you can tell like he's a bad guy in theory when you're watching the show.
He's mostly a bad guy.
Yeah, he's mostly a bad guy, but you can tell that he does not want Sari to die.
Yes.
And he is intent on making sure that she survives, despite the fact that the people that he's with want her dead.
And her family.
Yeah. And her family. Yeah, her siblings want her dead as well. So it's like a really weird balance for him. And I would say mostly like he's a bad guy. Yeah. But you can just tell that there's more there than just that.
And of course we found out they were basically in an arranged marriage situation, much like the captain was.
Exactly.
And it didn't work out, but he is like super rich and he's a scammy con man and he's a little bit possessive. Yeah. Well, he's very possessive, and I think he just has the thing where like he thinks he can get whatever he wants, and that's basically what he's trying to do with Sari throughout this.
Exactly, and I think that like the point of these relationships is like show the parallels between like the two arranged marriages, and kind of like how they're opposites in a way, where like it's like in the North Korean side of it with Chung Hyuk and his like in Sadan, they're like he is not really in love, but she for some reason wants the marriage to happen, and then on the other side it's the opposite, where like Sari is the one that didn't want the marriage to happen.
And it's interesting how the con man and what's his fiance's name?
It's just done. Yeah.
It's interesting how those two get intertwined. Yeah. Like taking those like characters from either side that should have nothing to do with each other. Yeah. And they end up getting intertwined. But it doesn't feel forced. I feel like sometimes TV shows like try to connect characters in really forced ways. Yeah. But they've had several encounters that have like built up their relationship so that it feels like, okay, these characters shouldn't know each other, but they do, and it kind of makes sense.
And the thing is, like, their relationship got built up outside of the context of any of this stuff. Like, their separate relationship was built up just entirely outside of this plot, and then it just happened to tie into it later. Yeah. It wasn't like they were like, it's not like the show wasn't written in such a way where it's like, oh, we need these characters to meet somehow. It was just like, that's just like kind of how it happened over the course of the show. And then when like everybody starts putting like pieces together and realizing that like all these things are connected.
Dawn's character is a little bit tragic to me. Yeah. Because I don't think she's necessarily a bad person. She definitely comes from that like noble, kind of rich, maybe slightly stuck up like entitled class. She doesn't show that very often, I don't think. I can't think of a specific moment where she shows that. So it's like not hard to like not feel bad for her, I guess. But I do feel bad for her because it is an arranged marriage, but you can tell that she like, maybe she doesn't even love the captain, but she is having trouble reconciling like, why doesn't he love me? Yeah. You know? I think she is willing to like love him because they're in the arranged marriage and she's willing to make it work on a higher level than he is. But she also like strikes me as like why is he putting all this effort into this other woman and he won't even try with me? Like what's it seems like a very like what's wrong with me? Even though she's not verbalizing that, that's why I kind of feel bad for her because it seems like that's what's happening to her. Yeah.
And I feel like it's also a thing where it's like when you envision your life going a certain way, like she obviously had been studying in Russia for like 7 years. And she envisioned that she would come back and her life would go a certain way. Yeah. And to kind of realize that it's not exactly what you thought it was, or things aren't happening exactly the way that you had planned. After like being away for that long and expecting that when you came back, like he was going to marry you and you were going to like move on with your lives in that way. And all of a sudden it's like he doesn't want to. Right. And you probably didn't know that because it didn't seem like they had a lot of contact over the years. Exactly. It was just an arranged marriage and he kind of wanted nothing to do with it, but she was not aware of that.
But he was willing to just go along with it.
Yeah, because I think he knows that like he's the only son left and the thing that his parents want, it's like he's the only one that can
do
give
that
his parents,
traditional family thing.
Like do the thing that his parents want him to do or want him to do. So
and speaking of him being the last remaining son, we're getting more and more detail about the brother who died in the accident that was part of the same like conspiracy situation that's happening with this truck unit and the evil general who has evil aspirations. So we're finding out that he had a watch that ended up in the market.
Yeah, at like the pawn shop.
At the pawn shop in the market, and we keep seeing that watch. And Yunseri goes to the market and notices it in the shop and says, "Oh, that's a very, very nice watch there," not knowing that it's the brother's watch. And then we're seeing more and more about how his brother's death affected him. Yeah, it was very tragic for him. It happened while he was away studying music in Switzerland, which we get more and more of the glimpses of. The chance encounters that they didn't even know they saw each other in
Switzerland. Yeah.
In Switzerland, but that clearly had a very big effect on him, very big effect on the family, and it seems like that was a transition point for him from going and studying the arts and being an artist to coming back and being in the military or being in the police.
And I think that has a little bit to do with like the following in the father's footsteps. Like he went away to school because he had an older brother who could like follow his father, be in the military, do that thing, and like rise up and be in like some sort of powerful position and like in the like hierarchy there. And then when his brother died, there was probably some sort of responsibility that fell to him. Like now you're the son that has to do all these things and, you know, follow my footsteps. And so there's probably like that part of it as well that they don't really talk about, but I think that that probably plays into that decision to like stop playing music and come back and live at home.
Well, there's a line that one of the ladies says about him is like, he's a very principled man. And they say that makes him very attractive.
Yeah.
But he is a very, very principled man. That's like his whole thing. That's why I say he's like Batman. Like Batman has like these morals, but then he's also like this action hero.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think also with the brother's death, we're getting more tie-in to the Rat, as they call him.
The Rat.
Because we still don't really know what that character's all about.
We know that he's very conflicted, that he's like listening in on these conversations and snitching on them. And I said last episode, like this carried through to these batches of episodes where he is like literally absorbing it just like it's a drama.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like stressed for the characters, but then he's also playing a role where he's feeding all this information to the evil general.
Yeah, and it started to show like, it showed a little bit of like his involvement with the brother's death and then a little bit about what his relationship with the brother actually was, but still a little bit unclear exactly like if they were like friends. Like it just showed like that Chung Hyuk's brother like had helped him out when he was getting bullied by some other soldiers, but then he ended up having to help in his murder. Yeah. So it's like this weird situation, but that character is getting tied into the story like more and more because at the end of this last episode he finally lied to the his like superior about
said that they had not returned home
when they were there and he knew they were there. So that was like I think the first step in his like, you know, redemption.
That obviously all culminates with Yoon Seri. Like everybody's on the hunt for this Yoon Seri now because everything is starting to crumble. The House of Cards is coming down. You know, Dawn is going to pick out her wedding dress,
and she went to visit his father, Jung Hyuk's father, and feed him some sort of information. So now, you have to think that she told him.
Well, before that, I'm saying she is now figured out that this is not just some random person from Division 11. Now she sees her in the magazine
from South Korea
because she is a famous person and she was in this magazine. So now she is like trying to figure out how to deal with this situation and she's getting a little bit more conspiratorial, like getting in with the con man and they're kind of formulating something together and then like you just said, like going to the father
and to try to, because she's making it seem like she doesn't care if she takes Captain Ree down with her.
She puts that out there.
But I feel like she does not actually feel that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I think she's like trying to play it from a position of power.
Exactly. I think she feels a certain way and she is, like you just said, putting out.
Which is why she would go to the father and not just like report it to like some sort of agency that would take care of it. But so she goes and tells the father. Meanwhile, the con man they figure out that he like had harbored her, the general guy. So he went there, and now they're going to try to find her. So like now everything's kind of swirling.
Yes.
It's like what's
the siblings want her to not leave North Korea, and basically they want to make her disappear.
Yeah.
So they were gonna kill her. The evil general wants to kill her because there's these ambitions. They want to take down the captain, and then they also want to take down the captain's father for her political reasons. And then she really wants to get out, obviously, and her dad doesn't know that she's still alive. They made it seem like she actually died. And now the captain's father is gonna want to capture her or like cover this up or something, which my prediction, I'm not gonna look at your face because I know you've watched the show already and I don't want to know, but I have a feeling that since the evil general did not know that she arrived home and the rat is no longer a rat and he said they're not there, that these two thugs that picked up Yoon Seri at the end of this episode are probably working for the captain's father. Maybe? Don't say theory. Thank you. Very stone-faced.
It's a very interesting theory.
But the only thing that makes me worried about that is we do hear a gunshot while they're on the phone together, and she's gone.
Yeah.
Rewind that back a little bit. She went to the pawn shop and got that watch for him. Just because it was a really nice watch, not even knowing that it is his brother's.
Yeah, that
watch,
he gave to his brother.
which is crazy.
Yeah, there's like so many things that just like happen throughout I think I like this show so much because it's like there's these little details and they just tie it back into the story.
Yes.
And they don't force feed it to you.
Right.
Like it's like this is what's happening. It's like if you notice it, you notice it.
Yes.
And if you don't notice it, then you're not maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention.
Got a little bit of a fairy tale quality to it, like allegorical, without it being like actually like cheesy. And even the part where it's like she's like, I remember this piano piece. I heard this piano piece while I was in Switzerland. It's a classical piece. Yeah. And she played it for that guy. She's like, do you recognize it? And he's like, no, I don't recognize it. And we come to find out that it was the piece. He wrote the piece and he was playing it on the dock in Switzerland. Yeah. That's just... Yeah. That's poetry.
Exactly. And it's like, it's obviously unrealistic.
Yeah.
But it's like beautiful in a way. Yeah. Like it makes you wish that it was realistic.
Exactly.
Like it's just like, it's that sort of like, it's like a very whimsical story and like in a way.
We have a lot of cynical media in America, I would say. And I think that is the biggest difference, I think, in absorbing these K-dramas is it's not as cynical. It's very like hero's tale. It's very... Like I said, like it's got allegorical, fairy tale-ish kind of themes and vibes and things that happen, but without being cheesy. I don't know.
And I think a lot of people watch K-dramas and kind of knock them because they're too like idealistic and
very idealistic.
And it's like this like...
I think that's refreshing though.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't have those kinds of shows. Everything, it's just very like...
Or if we do, they are very cheesy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's presented in a way that... It's like, this is idealistic, and we know it's idealistic.
So it's like over-the-top comedy or like...
Like, they can't present something like that in a serious way. Right. In this show, it's like, it presents all this stuff in like a serious way, and it makes you like wish that was like real. You know what I mean? It makes you wish this world was real in a way, because it feels real when you're watching it.
Yes. When we just finished watching the last episode in this set, I didn't remember that it's the midway point and that it would be such a frustrating end, but the cliffhangers on the end of each episode, they're always great. Yeah. And this episode is no stranger to that. But there were two moments. There was one moment where I thought the episode was going to be over. Where
it was like only half over.
Yeah, it was only half over. Like they did like a double whammy because you think like they're just going to break up and part ways and split, and then they don't. They come back together, of course. And then we go through the whole rest of the episode, and then everything is looking good, and they did it to me, bro. They already did the drama halfway. I didn't think the drama was going to come at the end as well. Yeah. And now she's kidnapped, and who knows where she's going to go. And then on the preview for the next episode, they didn't show her. Yeah. Yep. She's obviously not dead. MIA. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, but the one little thing about that scene where like he goes to finds her at the mansion, and she like says all that stuff to him, and
like he does all the James Bond.
Beats all the guys up, and then they she ends up being like leave, like you know whatever, and they separate. It's like those points in shows are like my least favorite, like because and it's not from like a like oh this is bad it's anymore, just from like it like hurts to watch it, like you know what I mean?
We know she's saying something she does not actually mean.
She doesn't mean, and it's like sad to watch the characters like separate like that. Yeah. And I'm really happy that she did like a 180.
In that moment, it got resolved.
Yeah, she was like, I can't do this, like because like I think we're watching it and we're like, I can't do this, like we can't like just leave it like that. Yes. And she's instantly like, you know what, this is not right.
And so far, the most emotional point in the show for me has been when she goes in the car and gets him and says, I just came because I thought you would get cold. Yeah. You know? Yeah. That was the most emotional part in the show. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, there's a lot to unpack here.
A lot going on.
If there are like key moments or things that we skimmed over that you thought were really important or that you thought were really great about the show, let us know in a comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed because it really helps the channel. It helps more people see the K-Drama Club. And if you are interested in K-dramas and even K-pop, we have K-pop reactions on the channel as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content like this. For now, that's going to be it. Stay tuned next Monday. We're going to have a new episode of the K-Drama Club where we're watching the next 4 episodes. So if you're watching along with us, go ahead and watch episodes 9 through 12. Math. But anyway, my name's Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe.